2-second timer or whatever.
Cool.
All right. I think it's... Hello, everybody. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another fun live stream. I got an awesome guest tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Harrison Smith himself.
Good evening. Good evening, Ian. How are you?
I'm good, dude. I don't even need to give you an introduction, I don't think, but I will. So you guys, if you don't know who Harrison is, I'm sure all of you do, but just in case, he's a host of War Room. You also are the author of American Journal, correct? American Journal?
I was the host of American Journal. That's the morning show, and then I moved to the weekend or the evening show, War Room.
That's right.
So
that's right. And of course,
yeah.
Moonbase.
And
Captain.
I host Moonbase Live. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I'm actually really small. I'm gonna make myself a little bit bigger because my camera's like completely zoomed out. Hang on a second.
You're so far away. I can move back.
I feel like I'm like...
I can become smaller. We can even it out a little bit.
No, that's better. That's better. Yeah. No, dude, I'm glad we can make this happen. It was kind of on the fly, as always. I feel like everything I do is on the fly. So luckily I have friends that are just like, hell yeah, dude, let's just do it, man. Let's jump on.
Yeah, I was texting you. I was live while you were when you texted me. So just like during the break, I'm just like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about all this shit. I mean, it's crazy shit going on.
I saw somebody said they were watching from Iran. I need you to explain right now how in the hell you're watching from Iran, because from what I've heard, there's like no internet there and it's a freaking war zone. So
yeah, I'm pressing X to doubt on that one.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that would be very surprising. Let's see. Where did they say that? Who was it? Right here. Okay. Explain yourself, Mr. Frank Bradley. Also, that is not
very Iranian name. Frank Bradley.
Oh, they say Starlink. Yeah, but I heard that Starlink was like, weren't they like getting rid of all the Starlink there too? Am I crazy?
I thought they did.
I'm just screwing around. Okay, good. Because I was like, there's zero chance. No way.
I wish.
That's not funny, sir. All right. So, dude, we got a bunch of people in here. Let's get started. So I think we start with the craziest thing of all, which is that the new Epstein information that dropped. I'm really curious on your take on it. And I know that there's probably a lot of people that have no clue that it even came out. I mean, because I didn't know for a while, and I usually find things out pretty quick. But yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this has been up since November, which I hadn't heard about. Outlaws of Chivalry. Yeah, I hadn't heard of this or seen this before you sent it to me. Excuse me. I read it and I listened to a lot of the audio, and yeah, I'm very torn about it on first blush, because it definitely, I think before we started recording, you pointed out like it sounds legit in that the way the guy comes across just seems legit, right? Nothing other than just like the vibe I get is like, yeah, this guy doesn't sound like he's BSing. Nothing stands out as obviously fake. There is some weirdness in terms of like how he figured out, or like how he got in contact. I don't know. So I'm sort of on the balance scale. It's sort of right at even for me, because it's like, okay, he names names, a lot of names, which is like, okay, if he's lying, then that's a gigantic risk to take, because those people are going to sue your ass off.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. It seems like it'd be easily disprovable because he was so specific. I don't know. Do people know about this story? Because I hadn't heard this story. Maybe we need to like give them the groundwork.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. So let's go ahead. let's jump into this story. So if those of you guys that don't know what's going on, basically, and dude, that was news to me. I didn't know it's been around that long. I thought
Right.
that it had like just dropped. So apparently, this Sasha Riley, I think I'm saying the name right, came out and uh, basically is talking about how he has like undeniable proof that Trump and a few others were absolutely involved in this whole Epstein thing, but on a very, very dark and very kind of hard level to listen to. I don't think we can get in, I don't think we're going to get in trouble or get flagged or anything if we play it, but I have the audio and I can pull it up. Just, little discretionary warning. It's
Yeah, I don't know. If you're on YouTube, I'm not sure how much of it we could actually play. It gets pretty graphic.
Yeah, should I still just like try it?
I maybe
Maybe
I'm
not.
thinking, 'cause I mean, it's up to you. I don't know, because I'm not on YouTube, so I don't know exactly what they're okay with. I just know in the very beginning he's talking about how he got discovered, or how the whole thing. So okay, the story is that this guy, he maybe you should play just the beginning, at least the beginning,
All
because
right.
that part I had some questions about, where
Okay.
he's in the army
You want
and
in?
Sorry.
they find a video of a child that looks like him. The whole that part was kind of like, all right, this is kind of weird.
So I don't know if this is the exact one. Tell me if here. Let me just. Okay. So it's this one right here. All right. Tell me if this is the same audio that you saw. I'm gonna put it up there right now. Here we go.
Where they were filming us. It was me and a girl that I knew that I had been trafficked with in other venues. And while we were filming, they came in and shot her in the head. So killed her, obviously. So that would be...
Was that the runaway?
That was another girl, and I can't even remember her name. Yeah. The runaway was tortured to death in a duplex in Enterprise, Alabama. My parents did that, and that wasn't on film, not her being tortured, but that was that black girl that I'm telling you about that later on Michael Bayless had talked to me about. But they went and got her because they were afraid that this was after the investigation in Tennessee, and they were afraid that they would go down for child pornography. So they were wanting to kill her, and then they were wanting to get rid of me via an accident, but they couldn't because they had already tried to kill me several times. They had the incident in Texas involving the Chevy van. There was another instance in Texas where my dad threw me into the middle of a pool and said, "Sink or swim." And somebody saw it and called the sheriff. So there was a police report on that. And then there was a third instance in Texas where my dad threw me down a flight of stairs. And that one fractured my skull. Now, there may have been other things that happened as well, but I remember those three were enough that they generated an investigation.
Yeah.
There were enough things that happened in Texas that my dad moved from Texas to Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then moved to Alabama, got in trouble in Alabama, and then we just moved one more time.
And you're talking about
Alabama.
Your adoptive dad, William Kyle Riley, correct?
Yes.
So I have one more audio, but you can just kind of talk about that one. Like, dude, yeah. I mean, he names Skip Bayless. Like, you got to have some serious. So I'm gonna just make this for us. Like, this is very much alleged. We don't have any proof of this. Like, we're not confirming any of this, but it's pretty crazy. I mean, as you listen to him, like, it doesn't sound like someone who is like making it up as they go. You know what I mean? It sounds like he's truly like, this is my memory. I'm rattling off my memory.
Yeah, there is something like that. I mean, that one, that part in and of itself is like, there's some inconsistencies in what he says. So what the guy alleges is that, actually, I had the story up. If I can just read it real quick. Sasha was adopted in 1977 for the purposes of trafficking by William Kyle Riley. Sasha was trafficked by WKR within the Trump/Epstein ring from about 9 to 13 years old. And he describes these like insane settings where he's seeing people be murdered and a bunch of crazy stuff. And it's like, all right, well then why would they let him go if they did this to him and around him? And like right there, he's like, they tried to kill me, but later he says that they were beating him and his dad stepped in and stopped him because he was like, hey, you're going too far, you're gonna kill him. But it's like, but then he's saying his dad tried to kill him. I don't know. And then like he threw him in a pool and said sink or swim. Was that a murder attempt? And was that after the kid was 13 or 14? Because it wouldn't make any sense to want to silence him before all the stuff happened. Like stuff like that I'm like, well, it's a little bit inconsistent. But like you said, he names names, he names locations with like extreme exactness. So if there's any way to verify this stuff, I would think it wouldn't be that hard. Like if it actually happened, I would think that there would be it wouldn't be that difficult to get corroborating evidence, I would think.
Well, and it makes me wonder because you said this has been out since when, allegedly?
November. Well, this Substack was published November 23rd, 2025.
Okay, so it's not. So it is still. I mean, that's still pretty recent. That's only what, a month and a half ago. So it's. So yeah, I mean that's. I wonder. You know, what would be interesting is to dig into what was happening right around then. What was happening around November 23rd, specifically when that stuff dropped. And I don't know. I don't know if you. I mean, you cover like everything on the planet. What the freak was happening right then?
Oh god, great question. Actually, I think that was probably Thanksgiving, and that was probably the one time of this year, the 1 week this year that I was not paying attention to the news. So
the one time when you didn't know what was going on in the world.
Yeah, literally. But you know,
interesting.
He mentions people by name. He mentions Donald Trump. He mentions Andy Biggs. He mentions Jim Jordan, Clarence Thomas, by name, and like he mentions like that he beat Trump up, I guess, in a kind of like when he was like 12. I mean, there were some odd claims that he made, but I would think that you would be able to sort of triangulate. Okay, were all these people together at that time? Were they somewhere else? You know, I mean, these people were all public and famous at the time, so I don't know. I wouldn't think it would be that hard to find out where they were if he has this sort of exact memory as to where and when these things happened.
Yeah,
it's like it's almost too good. Not good to be true, but it's like too perfect to be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like so many people, I hate to say this, but so many people want that evidence to be real because of how much people, like, there's so many people, including myself, where we're just like, dude, we have been talking about this. We have been hearing about this. This has been a topic of discussion for years and years and years. And there just seems to be like no answer. And every time we get it even close to an answer, it's like they try to bury it even deeper, right? Or it's like all the craziness. We don't need to go into this because this is totally beating a dead horse, but all the craziness of the administration with these files and, you know, it's a hoax and it's on my desk and then this and then that. And everybody knows that whole thing. It's like, at this point, I think everybody is like, just give us some, you know, not clarity. What's the word I'm looking for? Closure. Just give us some closure, right? Like, if it really is a hoax, if it really is fake, if Bongino really is telling the truth, I don't think he is. But like, by the way, I still have a bet going on right now that it literally $100 is riding on whether or not that guy blocks me by 9 o'clock tonight. So I'm really,
you're trying to get blocked
by Bongino. Yes.
Yo, that's like the easiest thing to win ever.
Dude, you would think so, but I haven't been blocked yet.
Damn. You haven't been saying the right stuff, man.
I know. Apparently not. I haven't called him a fag enough times.
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe you can't call him a fag. That's gonna get deboosted. That's gonna go into spam. You want him to see it. You got.
That's true. I have called him a. Well, I mean, I've called him a lot of things. I'm sure not all of it's made it into the spam folder, but anyway.
Well, yeah.
Right.
So and like, I don't know. Yeah, there's some. they're relating it to Epstein. I didn't see much about or hear much about Epstein in the conversation. This guy said that his dad was a pilot who would fly guests and victims for Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
But then he had all these stories about Trump, and Epstein wasn't really involved in those stories. I don't know, man. Again, it's like he was very detailed about what he claimed to remember.
I know. Do you want to put this other? You want me to put this other one on?
Yeah, I will say. So he mentions Andy Biggs, right? Who's a representative, and I'm like, I was trying to figure out what exactly the timeline was, because he said the abuse happened between 9 and 13, ages 9 and 13. He's at least like 35, right?
At this point, yeah.
At this point. So this would be like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Which was right in that time. I mean, that's right. Like when was Epstein officially released by the, you know what I'm talking about? When did he get the sweetheart deal? When was that?
I want to say the first
like
case
96?
was, no, I think it was 2005, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's right. No, you're right. It was 2000. It was like 2006, like 2005 or 2006.
I think so. I think if my memory serves, I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now.
Because allegedly he'd been doing it for like 9 or 10 years, right? It
had been going on for a while. And then he got the sweetheart deal, I think in 2005.
Someone just said he's a 21-year-old vet.
Oh, so he's only 21. Okay, so that'd be a little bit later. But I went and searched Andy Biggs, because I was kind of like, was he even around back then? Because he got elected, I guess, in the Arizona House in 2003, and then the Arizona Senate from 2011 to 2017.
Right.
And then he got in the House in 2016. But apparently, this dude won the Publisher Clearinghouse sweepstakes and won $10 million in 1993.
What?
Andy Biggs.
What? Really?
I swear to you.
What the hell?
In 1993, he won $10 million and appeared in a Publisher Clearinghouse promotional video with like Ed McMahon or somebody.
What's that about?
Do you remember those? You're a little bit younger than me, I think. Do you remember the Publisher Clearinghouse sweepstakes?
No, I remember. Wait, how old are you? I don't think am I younger than you?
I thought so. I'm 36.
No, dude, I'm older than you. I'm 38.
Oh, yeah. You're young in spirit, my friend.
Thank you, sir. I do remember those though. I'm just wondering. That's a random side fact.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I mean, I was kind of like, reading through, and I'm like, all right, he went to like, Brigham Young University in Arizona State. I'm like, this all seems pretty normal. And then it's in 1993, he won $10 million in the American Family Publishers sweepstake. He appeared in a TV ad with Dick Clark and Ed McMahon to promote the sweepstakes. So then I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of fucking shady.
Yeah, that's super shady. Wow. Okay. Well, interesting.
Kind of interesting. I don't know what it means.
Interesting. Who knows what, it's just these coincidences. They just keep stacking up, these weird coincidences.
Sometimes people get $10 million out of thin air. Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it just pops up. Yeah. Maybe bribery, maybe blackmail, maybe who knows? How much? I mean, there's what would someone do for $10 million? All right. I'm going to put this next audio clip up. So far, I haven't gotten any flags or anything, so I think we're good. But yeah, I'll put this one up. Here we go.
I have had more than one encounter with Trump, and that's why I tried to kill that son of a bitch, because he is a fucking monster. It's why I have not shut up about just how absolutely abhorrent he is as a human being, and that's why I tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Because I had decided, I had already seen enough other people die that in my mind I thought, well, they're just going to kill me too at some point, right? I'm not going to survive to be an adult from this. So in my mind, he was the biggest pile of shit that I had ever had to have any contact with. So I was going to take him with me. And
how often did Trump assault you? Do you remember?
I can remember two specifically. A third one that I think, and I think I was around him more than just those 3 times, but only 3 times do I kind of remember. I can remember at one point him asking the people that were kind of running that party or whatever it was at that farm. He wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to murder somebody. And they said, "Hey, that's not this kind of party. You can't do that." And
it's never happened at a party I've ever been to.
They said, "Well, we've got some puppies that you just want to kill something. We've got to get rid of them anyway." So
this is like
I can remember him taking those
dude.
puppies one by one, and like he snapped one of the puppies' necks. He cut one open and let it just howl and writhe in pain while it died. Held one under some water to kill it. He wanted to kill those puppies in whatever gruesome way, to experience, I guess, seeing them suffer in different ways.
Oh shoot, what the heck happened? Hold on a second. I don't know what just happened. One sec.
Kink is, I guess if you want to call it that, is watching people suffer. He likes to destroy people physically, mentally, during the process of the assault. That's why he stands out so much in my memory. And it's physical pain, and then it's also, degrading and all of that. But his thing was to just try to destroy human beings to the utmost that he could possibly do it.
So the reason why I want your take on this one, because to me, this sounds a lot like some of those audio clips that came out about Hillary Clinton that were obviously fake. Like, it was obviously somebody with a crazy chip on their shoulder. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not here saying Hillary's innocent. I know for a fact she's involved in a lot of crazy shit. But, and I still to this day believe that Pizzagate is real. But that being said, there were things that came out that were like obviously orchestrated, obviously staged.
Hoaxes, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very obvious that the person talking, it seemed like they just had a chip on their shoulder and they were just attacking Hillary. This, to me, is kind of the same thing where it's like, okay, so Trump's just out here killing puppies now. What?
I know that's kind of the thing. And
why?
And I didn't really, I don't discredit things just because they're source, right? And I'd be a hypocrite if I did, because it is a hallmark of the left to be like, oh, the right wing reported that. I don't care, right? You see it with the Somali stuff where it's like, oh yeah, that right wing story. It's like, okay, it's true though. So you're trying to discredit it. So I don't want to discredit it because these people are anti-Trump, but like at the end of the second recording, they're very clearly like deeply anti-Trump and just think he's evil and everything he's doing is wrong and they're trying to stop him. So it's not a non-biased source that this is coming from. But again, the claims are so insane, it's hard to believe. But then he says it so sort of matter-of-factly, it's weirdly convincing. But I mean, the reason that I, to this day, still don't think that Trump was involved with Epstein to any large degree is because, like, that was never even really a claim. Like, they'd bring it up every once in a while when people, because people on the right were talking about Epstein for a decade. The left was downplaying it in every way they could. I mean, they just made a whole joke about the idea of like pedophilia or trafficking networks. I mean, they literally thought that whole thing was just complete nonsense. So then it suddenly flip-flops when Trump, it's inexplicably as far as I'm concerned, completely, 180s on Jeffrey Epstein, calls it a hoax, says it's a Democrat hoax. Then suddenly all the Democrats care about it and are talking about, Trump being involved. Elon Musk obviously tweeted that out as well. Obviously he knew the guy. Obviously there are pictures of them together and they'd been to the same parties and stuff. But in 2015, Trump was asked, it's like the first time Trump has ever asked about Epstein. And he's like not even a front runner of the Republicans yet. And they ask him like, what do you know about Jeffrey Epstein? He's like, oh, a lot of bad stuff went down there. That island, that was a creepy island. You should talk to the prince about that. And it's like, that was 2015, like totally off the cuff. Like, seemed like the honest response just in 2015. He's like, oh yeah, Epstein, creepy dude. You should ask the prince about that. And that was the time, I mean, nobody talked about the royal family being involved, not in mainstream media anyway. And then, the victims all claimed that Trump wasn't involved, and the victim's lawyer said out of everybody they asked, Trump was the only one that offered to help. And I mean, there's so much evidence to Trump not being involved. If he was, I could believe it. I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But then hearing this guy, and the fact that he says it's like Andy Biggs and Jim Jordan and Clarence Thomas and Donald Trump, it's like, so it was all of the Republicans that left hates the most. He said Lindsey Graham too. That one's very believable, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I for sure believe Lindsey Graham's in that.
It's like a little bit too politically convenient. I don't know, man. Well, like, really, it's all of the best Republicans. You saw all of them there, all killing puppies. Like, okay, yeah, right. But it's been up for 2 months. He hasn't been sued, as far as I can tell. It hasn't been taken down, which you think it would if it was, truthful, national security threatening information. I don't know, man. But this guy comes out with his name and he's naming people. So he seems to be pretty certain of what he's saying.
Well, and dude, that's my thing is like, okay, if that's the case, right? If he's out here posting this stuff, I mean, I guess according to defamation laws, like technically if they're a public figure, I think there's something in there that's like, you can't really sue I don't know exactly what that all about. I talked to somebody and they were basically saying like, if you're a public figure, you can't necessarily sue people for talking about you because it's like everybody's going to talk about you. There's really no way of getting around that.
There's a lot of that, but like when you are making deliberate, explicit claims with names, yeah, when you're saying I saw this person do this criminal act, I don't think being famous protects, means that you can do that to people.
Well, so then the question is, why is he not being sued? Why is Trump not going after him? Why is because there's maybe there's a chance that only we are seeing this and that Trump and his administration or whoever or his family haven't seen it yet, but it's like, I doubt it.
Well, it's also a matter of the fact that this hasn't made a big splash. Like maybe if it had made a big splash, if a lot of people had been sharing it and it had, done damage to their reputation, then they would have cared about it. But maybe they just see this as like, okay, some crazy dude is making baseless claims about us. Who cares?
Well,
like,
And to that point, it's making a big splash right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because I've seen it going all over the place. I saw it today. It exploded. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, but again, I've just listened. I listened to the first 2 audio tracks, and I would like to, like, if I was trying to either prove or disprove this, it would be a matter of like just copying down all of the facts that were said and trying to cross-reference them. Because again, the guy mentions all these places, all these names, all these times, like, and it's not that like long.
Yeah.
I think we may have misread that tweet earlier. He said he was a 21-year veteran. So he'd spent 21 years in the Army. The commenter
yes,
said
I
that,
did. Okay.
So he said he was 52. So that means he was born in 73, which makes sense if he was adopted in 77. He was adopted at like age 4, which would have meant by the time he was 12 and all of these events were happening, it would have been 1985. About.
Okay.
So that would have been like during Trump's come up, I guess. That would have been when he was like becoming a household name.
Yeah, because when did he start with Roy Cohn?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think Art of the Deal was like 86, right?
Yeah, that's like right around the time. Yeah, because here's the thing, dude.
7,
I've
87,
actually said I've said this from the beginning, and again, I don't like consider it impossible that Trump is involved with these things and that he's in the Epstein files at all. But I just find it really hard to believe that he is, because if he is, it means he's really, really stupid. Because to have a mentor like Roy Cohn, I mean, because Roy Cohn was basically his mentor, right?
Right.
Roy Cohn was a master of putting people in compromising situations like this and then using it against them. And he did it with Trump. Like, it's very well known that was happening the whole time, including J. Edgar Hoover, right? And so to be under the basically apprenticeship of this guy, and then to make the same mistake and allow him or allow somebody else to put you in a compromising situation like that and then use it against you is like, to me, it doesn't make sense, because I'm like, he could have easily, if he really wanted to freaking diddle some kids or something, he could have done it in his penthouse and no cameras and nobody would know the difference. It's like, I find it really hard to Trump's a lot of things, but I don't think he's stupid. And you have to be really stupid to put yourself in that situation. Like a Lindsey Graham, freaking moron. Absolutely believe he could put himself in that situation. Any of these other clowns, absolutely. But like Trump, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I really don't buy it, honestly. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to it. And I just, Jim Jordan is 61 years old, so he's only 9 years older than this guy. So he would have been 21 in 1985. Like, this guy recognized Jim Jordan from 21 years later.
Jim Jordan was also kind of a weird thing for me. I'm like, Jim Jordan, like,
yeah, what? I don't know, man. It doesn't add up to me. It's not clicking. And then there's stuff like, he's talking about snuff films where they just like shoot a girl in the head, and it's like, I don't know. I've never watched snuff film, to be honest with you, but
so snuff films, I 100% believe that, and I'll tell you why. I actually believe that 100% because I've met a couple people that are former Hollywood, like pretty big stuff. Yeah,
I definitely believe it exists. I just don't think guns are usually used. I don't think guns are usually used. I think, I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know, but then he describes another time where he says, like, I don't know, dude. The whole thing is weird. He says like they shoot a girl just to like scare him.
Yes, I saw
before Trump comes in, and it's like, what? Why? What? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, if they're producing snuff films, wouldn't you at least film it? But like they stuff like that.
Which one that was?
Which audio file?
Yeah,
it would have been the second one. I don't know how long in though. It was like an hour and a half long.
Oh yeah, those are hours. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not gonna put it's too much. If you guys want to watch these or listen to these though, I'll just post a link, and you can go ahead and I'm just gonna post a link in the chat, and you guys can go ahead and listen to them when you get a chance. But we're not gonna play them because they're just so long. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I will say this. Did you see? So I'm going to pull something up really quick. Did you see this come out? Because this actually dropped. It was really interesting. A few things dropped right during Christmas. I don't know if you caught that, but like this, along with a few other things, dropped during Christmas, which alleged, once again, it was all about Trump. And there was like a video that came out with pictures of Trump in a drawer with Epstein and a bunch of other people, and there was, and then allegedly, like the next day, they were saying that there was a bunch of files that appeared, and then all of a sudden the next day the files were gone, like somebody completely deleted them. I don't know if you saw that, but that happened during Christmas while most people weren't paying attention. But this is pretty crazy too. Like, I don't know if you guys can read that. But it was during do you remember when those files came out and there was that TikToker or whatever that figured out that you could actually copy and paste the redacted stuff into another file? That's what I'm talking about. This was all part of that. And it's all about Trump. But what's really interesting, dude, is it only lasted for like maybe 48 hours. Like maybe 48 hours people were talking about it. And then all of a sudden it just felt like it like, boom, gone. It
did kind of go away. Yeah.
It just disappeared, dude. And it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder, because that was right before we went in and got Maduro. It's also right around the time that Bibi Netanyahu got up and was talking about how Venezuela and Iran were connected because they were funding terrorists and they were all about the drugs and blah, 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 blah. And it's in our interest, and it's in the West's interest, and especially America's interest, to get rid of Maduro. And then sure enough, 3 days later, we go in and freaking pull this guy out of there in the dead of night. And it was all right after these things dropped. And so part of me is like, I don't know, man. It does, it's not crazy for me to think that, maybe they said, hey, we have this. And if you don't play ball, imagine what else we have. But if you do play ball, we can make it all go away.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the problem with a lot of those files, and maybe one of the reasons that it fell out of interest, was because the files were a lot of unsubstantiated claims. Like I'm not sure about this one, but this one's dated 8/3/2020. So this would have been a report from 2020 of somebody saying something. Like that was the one that got a lot of attention. That was like a limo driver that was claiming that he'd overheard people talking about it, and it was like people looked into it, and it was like this woman never existed. There was no police report about the woman that he described being killed. Like all this sort of stuff just didn't turn up accurate, but it was a very salacious kind of story. So
one about the baby in Lake Michigan. This one, right? That's the one you're talking about.
Maybe I don't know if it's this one.
So this one I'll read it because I can't read it off my screen here because this makes it too small. But I'll just read it. I'll read it for you guys. It says witness information, Donald, middle name, Trump, right? Additional info. Again, just trying to find out the NYPD detective on the FBI sex trafficking task force that called me a couple of weeks ago, spoke to me about some of these issues. How is contact known? He participated regularly in paying money to force me to, and it's redacted, with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of the body in Lake Michigan. This was the one that dropped that everybody was like, what the hell? Like, what is this all about? And apparently it was just from some random witness that was trying to like get this information out there, trying to connect with the with the detective. Says, I'm just wanting to the top of it says, I'm just wanting to reconnect with the original detective that called me. And I offered information about this. He was orchestrating a deal along my uncle where different men and a few women and girls would come to a variety of boats and yachts and pay money to force me to blank with them when I was 13 and pregnant. So that was the first thing in red, and then or the first thing at the top, and then the second thing was what I read on the bottom. But like, I don't know, man. This dropped, and it dropped during Christmas when most people weren't paying attention. And it was one of those things where it was one of those files where they were figuring out that they could actually take the redactions and copy and paste them because our government's freaking stupid. Either that or they did it on purpose.
I had the feeling they do some of that stuff on purpose. It's hard to fuck that up.
I mean, dude, I don't know how you can not do that.
It's like the Obama birth certificate. You know that one, right?
Yes, I do. And it was you could literally change things like real time.
Yeah. You could take it into Photoshop and see the different layers that were on the thing. And like, I remember that happening, I don't know, 10 years ago or whenever like they first released it, and like doing that, going into Photoshop, separating and being like, holy fuck, this is crazy. Because then I got into big arguments with my friend's family about it. Because like it was one of these things. Because like I voted for Obama. I was stupid. I was 18. I'm sorry. I apologize. I've explained it before. But like,
it is what it is.
I mean, he said the right stuff. He was just full of shit. So I learned that pretty quick. But like it was during his administration that it came out, and I remember talking to my friends being like, yo, this is a fake fucking document. Like, you can see it's separate. And they like got mad at me and were like, no, dude, that's just like a racist claim that he's not born here. And I'm like, yo, I have the file right here. Like, what are you talking about?
I promise.
So it's crazy. And I remember that happening and thinking like, man, they really fucked up. Apparently that file is still up. It's still the same file. So they never
is. And you can still change it. That's what I'm saying. You can still edit that same file.
So that's like, that has to be on purpose. There's no way that they haven't realized in the intervening 15 years with all the articles about it. Like, that's on purpose. They for sure left that up so that people could go do that because they're like, yeah, he's, this is fake. Fuck you.
I really don't know though, dude, because the more that the closer I get to people that are actually in the government over the last few years, and the more that I learn about our government, the more you realize how absolutely incompetent and stupid these people actually are. Like, and how disorganized the government is. So it's either on purpose and they're just really, really smart and making it look like they're retards, or they're just actually this retarded and they make this many stupid mistakes and this many blunders. And it's just like, you know,
I think it's on purpose, dude. I don't think it's an accident.
It's just all a stage.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the Obama birth certificate is the best example. It's been 10 years and they still haven't changed it up. That's beyond stupidity. That's like ego, you know. That's like, yeah, we leave it up. Fuck you. Like, yeah, you know, like, what are you gonna do about
peasants? Figure this out, peasants. Yeah,
People
no,
are
for
still
real,
gonna call you crazy for mentioning it 10 years later.
That's a good point, actually, because, you know, misinformation is also their game. I mean, at the end of the day, psyops are psyops. And I feel like at this point, almost everything we deal with is a freaking psyop. And it's like, there's a psyop for this and a psyop for that. And there's a psyop that counters this and a psyop that counters that.
Psyops upon psyops, yeah.
Dude, I mean, we're in an absolute information warfare right now, which is crazy. InfoWars. But, you know, I don't know. Overall, I just, when I saw this stuff drop, I thought it was really interesting. Again, I'm not saying it's real. You know, we're not alleging anything, but to your point, there's things that make sense. There's things that are like, okay, this guy doesn't seem like he's saying something scripted, but then at the same time, there's times where you're just like, nah, that didn't sound right. That sounded
well, like,
weird.
So the very beginning, he's like, yeah, I was in the Army, and somebody else in the Army, an NCO in a different whatever, got caught with CP, got called in, and then he's like, then they called me in because they recognized him in one of the videos and was like, hey, is this you? Like, or they said, they asked him, have you ever made a movie with a black girl? And he's like, I knew exactly what they were talking about. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking? How does that happen? Who like finds 20-year-old CP on a hard drive and goes, hey, that's Jeff down the road. Go get him and ask him.
Who recognizes them?
And then there's no follow-up. And then it's him like, oh yeah, that's me. And they're like, great, back to your bunk.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, what?
That's such a good point. I totally forgot about that. That's such a good point, dude. It's like, all right, well, we found it. Thanks. Back.
Yeah.
On you go.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
like,
hold on. What? You were just watching CP, but all right, I guess. Whatever.
Dude, the whole thing's weird.
That's how they roll.
You know, it sounds like the dude was a legitimate victim of abuse, and that does fucked up things to your mind. So, like, you know.
Yeah, there's a chance that he just his psyche broke. I mean,
planted memories, like actual abuse that his, brain blocks out and it fills up with, things that seem real. I don't know, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very, very hard to tell, honestly.
It's tough because I do wholeheartedly believe that there is, there's a such thing as the ritual sacrifice and
oh yeah,
child sac. Like I 100% believe in that stuff, and I 100% believe that there's the freaking like hunting parties and things like that. Like there's so much evidence of that happening, especially in the UK. The UK is where it's like really, really strong that there's some crazy evidence of that, right? When you think about when you dig into like Maggie's Farm and like all these other things, right? There's a lot of
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And all
What's
that
up,
stuff.
Maggie kid?
Yeah. But, that being said, it's tough because if you're really going to do that stuff, I mean, there's zero chance any of it's getting out. I mean, really, like the people that are involved, it's just like, it's skull and bones. I mean, you rarely ever figure anything like that out. And the people that do are killed.
That's sort of the biggest red flag to me is this guy describes the most horrific stuff.
Why is he still alive?
And they just let him go. And that's It's like, well, they tried to kill me because my dad threw me down the stairs once. It's like,
would have finished the job based on everything we know. Would have finished the job.
When they wanted to kill the other people, they shot him in the head. So, I don't know why they would try to drown you in a public pool. I don't know. That's
there's a lot of it.
Didn't make any sense.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's move on to this next piece. I appreciate the commentary, though. I really was like very curious of what you thought, and it makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to Iran. before we do though, everybody that's watching right now, we appreciate you guys being here with us. Please support any way you can. You know, I don't ever put out that I'm asking for like freaking Cash App or any of that kind of stuff. The best way you can support guys is super chats. You throw those super chats in there. We'll answer the questions personally at the end. I'm splitting everything with Harrison tonight. He didn't know that, but I always give half to my guests. So anything you guys do to support me, I'll be sharing with Harrison. And
support Ian. I don't need nothing.
No, I appreciate you coming on, dude. And we'll answer the questions. And all of what I make, guys, is going towards my YouTube channel and building my team, because right now I don't have a team. It's just me. And if you guys could see, I literally have a TV monitor on 2 crates and a cardboard box in front of me so that I can make this happen. So like, help me get rid of the crates and the cardboard box. Because ultimately that's what I'm trying to do. And I appreciate you guys' support as always. You can also support my business, Official Patriot Gear. Go to officialpatriotgear.com and grab some gear. But yeah, super chats are the best. Other than that, let's move on. Iran. And I'm actually going to kind of lean on you for Iran, because I'm sure you know a lot more than I do of what's actually going on.
If anybody knows.
Yeah, like seriously. The couple things that I pulled away though, as I was like kind of scrolling through the Iran stuff, just going through X, was that they're alleging that Mossad is actually on the ground, which obviously that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the freaking assassinations and a lot of the deaths are actually happening by like sniper. Like people are getting straight up sniped out. I don't know if you saw that. That was the
I
thing
did see that
to me.
So you know why that stood out to me is because it's exactly what happened in the Maidan color revolution. Do you remember that? So in the Maidan revolution in Ukraine, remember it was a color revolution, right? Exactly the same playbooks we've seen a million times. You start the protest. It was this big camp in the Maidan Center, and then the protesters were killed by snipers. And a later investigation found out it was a false flag. It was snipers that were a part of the Maidan group that basically shot themselves in order to have the casus belli to go, oh my God, the state is repressing our protest. We have to overthrow it. So that makes me very suspicious. That's exactly the same thing that happened. You start the protest on the ground, and then you have your own guys kill the protesters, so you can blame it on the state. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Iran did kill protesters as well, but that did stick out to me, the fact that they said they found bullets. What you're talking about is the claim it's a doctor in Iran showing some of the protesters who were killed, saying there were shots that went into the crown of the skull, like down through the body, so they were being shot down upon from windows up above. And other people were saying that there were like construction sites near where the protests were that would have been a staging ground for that shooting.
Yeah, I actually have here. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, because I have a video that I was going to pull up that talks about that exactly. So let me grab it really quick and I'll pull it up. To just kind of build on what you're talking about, because that is what I saw, and I was just like, I mean, obviously I believe that's the case. I 100% believe that Mossad is there and freaking stirring shit up. I mean, dude, they've wanted this for so long. It's crazy to me that anyone even questions at this point Israel's involvement in this. Like, they have wanted Iran for so long.
They really need it now. Like, the thing to understand about Israel right now is they've put it all on the table for this. They've gone all in and are basically they have so destroyed their reputation across the world that, like, if they can get Iran, if they can take out Iran and just completely dominate the Middle East, and that's it, they're now a superpower. They get to do greater Israel. Like, if they can get that, then this will all be worth it. If they don't get that, then they have just
screwed,
fucked themselves over, because the next generation in 10 years or whatever is, there goes all the support, there goes all the funding. Now
I'll be honest, this may sound absolutely insane. This may be one of my crazier theories. I'm everybody's favorite conspiracy theorist, Harrison, but here's what I'm thinking, okay, based on all the geopolitical moves that are being made right now, because I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but there legitimately is like real life risk going on right now. Like, the amount of ships that are moving around, the amount of nuclear subs and nuclear planes that are showing up out of nowhere, and all the different, like, I mean, it's crazy, and it's all over the globe right now. I think, and you tell me if I'm just insane and this is just such a stupid idea, but I look at the way that things are happening in South America, right? So we are now occupying Venezuela, basically. I mean, at the end of the day, Trump said we are going to run the country, right? Even though we can't run our own country, we're going to now go run Venezuela. So we took over Venezuela, removed their leader, right? And now, and obviously Israel's involved in that, and Israel wanted to be a piece of that. Then you have the whole thing going on with Argentina, which we'll get into. But then you also have talks about Mexico, Cuba, and Colombia. Okay, so basically South America right now is being like eyed as far as how are we going to move in on these countries. Okay, then you have Greenland, and then you have the Middle East. So the United States now has like eyes on South America, Greenland, and then Israel, as always, has eyes on all the countries in the Middle East, Iran, freaking every single one of them, right? And we are obviously supporting and funding everything they're doing. Okay, so we're obviously hand in hand with that. It makes me wonder, because then you also look at what Russia's doing. Russia is, I mean, Putin made, I think, the one final warning to Ukraine or whatever, like that's still going on. And then you also have China that is very much positioned to be able to take Taiwan if they really want to. I feel like that's going to happen. So you have all these geopolitical moves that are being made. And it seems like to me that it's not just like one or two or three countries. It seems like they're literally splitting the freaking world, like east and west. And ultimately, if you actually think about this for a minute, if Israel is doing this, it's actually freaking genius. And it pisses me off, but it's actually genius, because ultimately what they're doing is they are forcing their way to be our greatest ally. Why? Well, because if all of that happens with Russia and China, right? And if it really does become an East versus West, well, we sure as hell are going to want somebody in the East, right? A nuclear power in the East will be really, really helpful at that point. So it's crazy, but if you think about it, it's like, okay, they're kind of forcing their way into being that greatest ally, which ultimately will make it so that all the people that have been talking about being anti-foreign involvement and not wanting to fund Israel anymore and all this other, like everybody that just has woken up to the Zionist agenda, you're kind of going to be stuck in a place where you can't really say anything, because if it really does get to a point where it's a world war, we are going to want a nuclear power in the East to be able to, I don't know, maybe that's just crazy, but as I'm thinking about it and as I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty accurate way. I mean, what I think is happening is that basically the West is just being deliberately deconstructed, being collapsed, and the center of power is planning to move back to more towards the center, obviously with the rise of China and the building up of Israel. I think Israel wants to take the superpower place, kind of in cooperation and coordination with China, but certainly not with America or the West, which it's like spiking a cannon, right? When you leave a fort. Yep. When you abandon a fort, you destroy the weaponry. So they're trying to basically destroy us on the way out, is my interpretation. I think there's a lot of different reasons for all these things, right? I think that the Venezuela plan was launched as kind of a what's the term? Door prize, right? It's the consolation prize, because Trump wouldn't go to war with Iran. So all right. Israel wants and really needs the Greater Israel Project. They feel they need the Greater Israel Project. To achieve the Greater Israel Project, they have to get rid of Iran. To get rid of Iran, they need American boots on the ground, right? Or I should say, to get rid of Iran, they need boots on the ground. They don't have enough boots on the ground. So therefore, to defeat Iran, they need American boots on the ground, right? So that's...
Not only that, they also need to attack Iran. And here's the thing. There's a reason why we haven't attacked Iran yet. It would be an absolute retarded move, because if we attack in the past, right? Let's talk pre-Venezuela. If we attack Iran, oil prices skyrocket, the economy's destroyed, right? But now we have the largest oil reserve in the world. So what is stopping us from attacking Iran? Absolutely nothing, which is why everybody's talking about it, which is why Lindsey Graham is salivating right now. He's absolutely just hit him hard, hit him now. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, anyway.
Well, I definitely think that would be an aspect to it. I mean, obviously Iran would shut down the Strait pretty much immediately. There's lots of other reasons, though. I mean, Iran's ballistic missile program obviously can overwhelm the Iron Dome. Like they could very well destroy Israel pretty quickly. We also have bases all over there that Iran could hit pretty effectively.
Yep.
There's a lot of other aspects to it. I think, uh, my co-host I do Moonbase Live with is my friend who I've been friends with since we were like 11. He's from Lebanon. And maybe it's just because I'm biased.
John.
Lebanon
Shout out
John.
Lebanon John.
Yeah, so maybe I'm just biased by like his point of view, but I'm telling you it makes sense. When you realize that the number one threat to Israel continues to be and has been for a while Hezbollah, and that Lebanon is like a real prize for Israel that like they have to take equally as much or even more so maybe than Iran. And when you start like plugging that into the equations, they all start to even out, right? They all start to make sense. It's like, why is all of this going on? It's like, okay, Venezuela was helping Hezbollah, who's defending Lebanon. They have to get rid of Hezbollah to take Lebanon. It's like, it all makes sense then. Why did they hate Bashar al-Assad? Because he was helping to funnel weapons to Lebanon. Like, Hezbollah is sort of the real prize at the end of the day that they have not been able to dislodge even to this day. There's some debate on how damaged they've been, but most people who know say they're just as strong as they ever were. And so that's what Venezuela was about. So like we don't go all the way on Iran. We compromise and we say we'll bomb them. We'll do this Fordo charade, and then. But what we will do is we'll go after Venezuela. We'll go after all the periphery people. We already got Bashar al-Assad. There's a ton of pressure happening right now with Lebanon and Hezbollah. There's like big summits happening as we speak, trying to get Hezbollah to agree to disarm. They're never going to disarm. None of this is going to work anyway. But because Hezbollah has this system that really can't be defeated like this. But Greenland, has a lot to do with Arctic security, has a lot to do with resources, also has a lot to do with AI. AI is the big, control system of the future. Russia, I think the intent has always been to do the final Third World War between Russia and Western Europe to finish off both of those places. China doesn't need to take Taiwan militarily. I think they want to take Taiwan like they took Hong Kong. You pass a law, you get your people in, you pass another law, you pass a security law. Oh, look, you're now fully under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. Nobody had to, fire a bullet.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think Israel basically is using America to sort of go after and finish off all of its enemies. And it's trying to do it in a way that collapses America in the process, as they're already basically buddied up to China anyway and ready to jump ship at any point. So, yeah, I think it is all tied in together, and I think go ahead.
How does Yemen play into this? I mean, because you look at like Somaliland, right? The Somaliland thing that Israel just recognized it as a independent sovereign state or whatever. And then you look, I tend to believe that there's a connection there as far as like all the Somali fraud that all of a sudden was just randomly taken down in freaking Minneapolis, even though we've known about that since I think it said 2005 or 2006 or something, or 2011 maybe, I don't know, something like that. But we've known about it for
2015 there was a big expose of it, yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, well, we knew about that. Let's tap into it. Let's blame the Democrats because they're easy, because they were actually the ones that did it. So it's an easy scapegoat. And all of that money now, where does it go, right? So it's like, okay, that, and then all of a sudden Somaliland pops up, which there's going to be an Israeli airbase there. We allegedly now, I don't know if this is actually a thing, but I'm pretty sure we did, $8.6 billion in fighter jets, which I wonder where the jets are going, right? and then you're right in striking distance for Yemen now, right? Which so far Yemen's been able to hold its own. So how does that fit in?
Yeah, I mean, Yemen is an interesting thing because we really never defeated the Houthis to any large degree. Like we struck them a few times, but like it's sort of a good example of like you can't even defeat the Houthis. You're going to go after Iran. Like the Houthis are still there. They still have missiles. They can still fire them at any point. So yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's sort of petered out a little bit. I wonder if Qatar is helping to keep a lid on the Houthis, since they're friendly with everybody in that region.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could be very, very, very possible.
That may have had something to do with the security agreement that Trump signed with Qatar.
I was just gonna say that would make a lot of sense of why he signed that agreement.
Yeah, and that
interesting.
I mean, my interpretation, this entire second Trump administration, has been that there is this shadow war going on behind the scenes. I do not believe that Trump is like fully, sincerely dedicated to Israel. I think he's being forced to do a lot of stuff for Israel, but there's very clearly a battle going on behind the scenes. And maybe Trump is more on the Israel side than not, but, Signalgate, Pete Hegseth, they're trying to oust Pete Hegseth because they're trying to, run up the war with Iran. All of course, the drama with Charlie Kirk and his donors, that was all in the run up to the war with Iran. Like, you have these differing factions. Even now it's saying that Trump and somebody else is in favor of intervention with Iran, but J.D. Vance and Hegseth are against it. So there's been this constant battle. I always describe it like it's like whales fighting under the ocean. You can't exactly see it, but occasionally like a bubble comes up and you're like, oh, there's some shit going down right there.
Going on. Yeah. What is it? But there's something.
You have Mike Waltz, right, who was Trump's guy in the White House. He leaked the Signal chat to another Zionist guy at the Atlantic, right? Who then publishes the Signal chat. It becomes a big thing where everybody's trying to pressure Pete Hegseth to quit. I mean, Pete Hegseth had to weather like 6 of these completely fabricated scandals, right? It's like, oh my God, Pete Hegseth, he said to bomb a boat, and he has to try to justify that, and people are talking about sending him to jail for war crimes, and it's because he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. They're trying to oust him. They don't want him in there. That's why we have Pam Bondi, because
you don't think Hegseth wants to go to war with Iran?
I don't think so.
Why do you say that? I'm not like, I don't have an opinion either one way or the other, to be honest. I don't have enough information. So yeah, I'm really curious about that. Why do you say that?
Mostly goes back to Signalgate, when they were, this was before we bombed Iran, right? This is when they were still trying to get us to actually go to war with Iran. And that whole Signalgate controversy was about Pete Hegseth and a couple of his underlings not wanting to go to war with Iran. And so they were trying to oust him, and they did oust a couple of his underlings, I think, including Tucker Carlson's son. I think that's when Buckley Carlson was, forced out of the administration, or I think he was under Hegseth, right? They basically tried to isolate and then expel Pete Hegseth, and they've tried a couple times. And I think it's because he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. Otherwise, like, why would they want to get rid of him? And why wouldn't we go to war with Iran if he's in favor of it?
That's crazy to me, because from my perspective, and again, I definitely don't have nearly as much information or background as you do with Hegseth, but like, from my perspective, Hegseth is just war machine. I mean, they call it the Department of War now. And the way I look at him is like, I feel like he would be the one that's like, let's freaking go. Like hoorah,
I think the difference,
that's just his like personage that he's kind of putting out there.
Well, I think you can be both, right? I mean, it's hoorah, like American number ones, go kick ass, but not unnecessarily, and not, I think he genuinely doesn't want to waste American lives. My impression of Pete Hegseth is that he genuinely like cares about the troops that are under him, and like actually thinks of himself as a soldier and doesn't want to send his fellow soldiers to die, because he's going to have to be the one to explain to their parents why their son died. And I don't know. And that could be me, looking into it more than I should. But the whole time they didn't want Pete Hegseth. They tried really hard to get Pete Hegseth not to be appointed. And every time we're about to go to war with Iran, there's some big scandal that tries to oust him. And I don't know, all the reports from the inside are that Hegseth was not in favor of war with Iran. But remember, Mike Waltz leaked that chat, and then it was discovered that he was collaborating with Netanyahu behind the scenes and was forced to resign. He actually just became the ambassador to the UN, because nothing ever happens to these guys. But like, okay, why would Mike Waltz be collaborating and like corresponding with Netanyahu in secret behind Trump's back if Trump was like totally on board and taking orders from Netanyahu? There's a tension there. There's a conflict going on there. And whether it's because Trump is being blackmailed, but also, the blackmail, like when you're at this level, especially with Israel and how freaking crazy they are. I mean, Jonathan Pollard bragged about using nuclear weapons as a blackmail technique. Right? I'm sure you've seen that video, right? Where he's saying we showed them pictures of
Pollard was the guy that leaked all the files and everything. He's a traitor, and I made an entire
pardoned by Trump, flown on Miriam Adelson's plane, welcomed by Netanyahu.
Crazy.
Met with Huckabee secretly. So he's on he's on video admitting that like Trump wasn't going to get, and I think it was the most recent thing, that Trump was not going to get involved in Iran until the Israelis sent him a picture of like a fully loaded nuclear bomb, saying basically you get involved.
Saying, yes, I remember that. Yeah, he was in an interview and he said it. Yep.
So again, I think what the Israelis wanted was Trump to just go in full force. We're going to go to war, let these people stay, regime change now, getting us involved, for the long run until we defeat Iran. Obviously, Trump wasn't going to do that. He made him sign this Gaza ceasefire deal. He made Netanyahu apologize to the Qatar president, and then, did the security agreement with them. Same time, J.D. Vance answered the question at the TPUSA event at one point about Israel by saying, we had to use some leverage to get this ceasefire going. Obviously, Israel doesn't want the ceasefire since they're not sticking to it.
Gaza.
Since they're still killing everybody.
They're literally they bombed Gaza City like 2 days ago. So that ceasefire is garbage, as always.
It's hard to figure out again where that line is between Trump is doing this because he wants to and believes it, or is there pressure, is there blackmail, is there nuclear blackmail? Because I can understand why we might be like, fuck it, just because you're having sex on tape, like who cares?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's that. I really don't. I mean,
but if you're dealing with people that go, hey, we're going to kill 100 million Americans unless you do this, that might be a bit more pressure.
Yes. And I've actually talked about this many, many times. I don't necessarily think that it's because of, sexual blackmail or whatever with Trump. I don't because again, I can't imagine him being so stupid after having Roy Cohn around for so long. Like Roy Cohn was notorious for this. It would be like you growing up with somebody and them teaching you only one thing about gaining power. And then you go and do the exact opposite of what they taught you about gaining power, even having seen all the consequences of all the people that were affected from that one thing. It's like, it would be the dumbest thing ever. You'd have to be an idiot. And I know he's a lot of things, but he's not an idiot. And I just can't see him. But what I can see is 100% I can see the Samson option. And I look at that and I'm like, listen, if homeboy came down and was like, you either do this or we're going to kill 100 million Americans. Like, we don't care. We have nothing to lose and we will do it. I don't know, like, what would you do? Right. And so, I'll be honest. I do think that Trump is being blackmailed. It would be hard to convince me otherwise that Trump is not in Bibi's freaking back pocket right now or holding on to his pocket out of his pants. Like, it would be really, really hard to convince me not, because the amount of things that Bibi wants done that just get done because it seems like Trump is right in his pocket is mind-blowing to me. And how it seems like the agenda for Greater Israel just lines up absolutely perfectly for Bibi Netanyahu, and how everything from Miriam Adelson and all the donors, and then also
Susie Wiles.
Yes, Susan Wiles, and also saying that Bibi Netanyahu should be pardoned, and like all of the ways that Trump is basically doing what Trump has never done and just bending over and taking it. It's going to be really hard for me to convince me that's not the case. And because of that, it also just begs the question of, and this about me, I 100% believe that at this point it is two wings of the same bird, and the freaking bird is Israel. I mean, dude, like, it's the Zionist agenda. They have infiltrated every single piece of our country, not just the politics, not just Hollywood, not just, the financial system. I mean, it's everything. And you can't convince me otherwise. So I look around and I'm like, it just seems to me, I'm, putting one and one together and it equals two. And two is they are pulling the strings. They are pulling all of the strings. And every time you turn around, it's that statement of it's not all of them, but it's always them.
Yeah, and it's and again that makes the blackmail threat that much more real, right? Because it's not. I mean, hell, it could be the pager thing. It could be nuclear weapons. Remember, the Samson option is about submarines, right? So it's not like you can just take out the headquarters and the Samson option is defused. Like, you have to get every submarine at the exact same time all over the world if you let one go.
And let me remind everybody, this is another piece that's like, okay, well, what the freak is going on? Because one of the things that Bibi Netanyahu is supposed to be standing trial for is literally, what is it called? 3000, something 3000. Case 3000, which is the German submarines, right? That whole scandal with the German submarines. He did these deals for billions of dollars for German submarines, and it put his entire country at national security risk and a myriad of other things that he's not being held accountable for, and that now Trump is saying, let's pardon him for that. And it's like, okay, the amount of war crimes that this guy's committed, the fact that he's getting on podcasts, I want to take my TV and throw it through the window, right? Like, it's insane to watch a literal war criminal be platformed the way he has been and have the Trump administration just not do anything about it. Like, okay, if we can go in and pull Maduro out of his bed with his wife without anybody knowing and without any casualties whatsoever, cool. Let's put that energy into Bibi. And the fact that we haven't, that to me is like, okay, something's going on, man. Like,
yeah,
and the Samson option to me is the thing that makes the most sense because, again, I don't think it's
dude,
I don't think
it's I mean, this is how bad our situation is. If Trump ordered Bibi to be arrested, do you think they'd follow the orders?
No.
Whoever it was that he gave the orders to, do you think they'd follow it? I mean,
No.
that's the reality of the situation, is that, like, even if Trump gave the order, the people that are in our government wouldn't follow it. They'd be more loyal to Bibi than they would be to us. So
and that right there is the culmination of all the problems that we have right now. Like, that's the fact that that's the case is scary as hell. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, let's be honest. I thought we had it bad with freaking. I think a lot of people thought we had it bad with Zelensky and the Bidens. I mean, the amount of times that Republicans and right-wing conservative influencers and media personalities and pundits lost their shorts over the Ukrainian flag being flown in Congress, or the amount of times that Zelensky showed up in Washington, D.C. over the 4 years of the Biden administration is insane to me, that now they're completely silent. Because do you know how many times do you know how many times Zelensky actually showed up in the 4 years?
No. 5
times. 5 that we know of. 5 times. Okay. How many times has Bibi showed up in just a year plus? 6 times.
Yeah. And,
like,
but that's another thing that I'm like, man, Bibi shows up when he's like needs to show up, right? You're not. He's not flying to America for fun or because it's because, like, okay, he needs to be there in person to pressure the Trump administration. Like, I think the more Bibi shows up, the more it shows that it's not operating smoothly, that, he's having to actually come over here. It's a little bit of, but yeah, I mean, of course, Zelensky and Bibi Netanyahu are just members of the same mafia, right? It's all the same characters in all of this. And I actually just retweeted a very old tweet of mine that I always wished would do better. I think this is really the answer, and I've been saying this for years. Communism plus Zionism is globalism. Okay? Zionism plus communism equals globalism, all right? Because communism dissolves all national borders, robs the people of their means of resistance, robs them of their weapons, robs them of their religion, robs them of their family ties, makes them weak in every possible way. Meanwhile, Zionism means that eternal sovereignty for Israel's nation, eternal and, like, unquestionable sovereignty over the land.
It's the ultimate form of nationalism, which is so ironic, right?
Yes.
In and of itself, because it's literally like a stronger form of nationalism than even the freaking Nazis were at the time. Like, it's crazy, and it just continues to go on, and people are like, "What?"
Yeah. Or they like see it as an excuse to be hoorah warmonger. Like, I think, the Lindsey Grahams out there, they would love if it was socially acceptable to be that way for America, but it's not. So they get to pound their chest and act like tough guys, but only on behalf of Israel, because that's what's, socially acceptable.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me is sort of the answer to all of this, right? Is you've got people that are dissolving national borders while saying that basically Israel's right to this land is in their blood and unquestionable and never ending and, expansive to whatever degree they can make it. So those are the two things, happening simultaneously, tearing down every other nation while making Israel's nationhood unquestionable and universal, right? When you say Israel, it's also the Israelis and, the dual citizens in other countries.
Correct. And that's, and it's interesting you say that. I really like that. Communism and Zionism is globalism. You're not wrong. And the crazy thing about that is if you actually research the roots of Zionism, dude, Zionism roots is communism. I mean, Moses Hess was closely connected to Karl Marx and the Communist Manifesto. It's alleged that he actually helped him write parts of it, which that hasn't been completely proven, but there's a lot you can find if you actually dig into that. And as far as like Herzl goes, right, when you start to actually dig into the history of Zionism was 100% a political movement. It wasn't for what everybody thinks it is. It wasn't this like noble cause. As a matter of fact, the Zionists were working with the Nazis. They wanted to have a state of Israel just as bad as they did. Like they did not want to be in Germany. They wanted to have their own state. There was a complete compatibility as far as their desire to leave and be in a different place and their own place. And what's really interesting is when you dig into the true desire to have the state of Israel, it wasn't about the Jewish people. Okay. It was about a superior race of Jewish people. It was about a higher class of Jewish people. They were not about the people that were already in Palestine. That was not okay to them. They wanted a higher class of that. Right. So it's like, it's such absolute hypocrisy. But when you actually look at the roots of Zionism, you're right. It completely goes down to communism. And when you combine those two things, that's everything that we are fighting against. It's everything that we don't want. And it's everything that threatens us in the biggest, most major way. And it's like that is why I think that people like you, people like me, and all these other people are just getting so loud about this stuff, because it's like our freaking radars are going, like our sirens are going off, and it's like, wait a second, this is like, this is not what we want in America, right? This is the exact opposite of everything America stands for.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% in that regard. The Zionist question is, so my favorite documentary about this that I encourage absolutely everybody to watch, there's two documentaries. First of all, everybody should watch The Lobby from Al Jazeera. Every version of it, UK, US, that is a behind-the-scenes look, hidden camera, Project Veritas style, but it was produced by Al Jazeera, going into the ADL and the SPLC, and it's just like unbelievable wealth of information in those two documentaries. The other documentary I suggest is from PBS, and it's called 1913, Seeds of Conflict. I think that's what it's called.
I'm going to have you text it to me later.
1930. I was gonna comment it, but I'm not signed in. 1913, Seeds of Conflict. Seeds of something. I think it's Seeds of Conflict.
1913 Seeds. Whoops.
Seeds of Conflict.
Of Conflict by.
It's on you. By PBS. It's on YouTube. It's all this stuff, and basically it is, and it's PBS, so it's not like super partisan in any way.
What was the other one?
The other one was The Lobby by Al Jazeera. And there's a UK lobby, there's a US lobby, and I think there may even be a second US lobby, but there's 4 episodes each. And it's about the ADL specifically trying to defeat the BDS movement. And totally fascinating. I mean, there's stuff in those. Oh my God. There's so, like, every scene you could write a dissertation about. 1913 season. So The Lobby, just quickly, a couple things from that. One of the things is Jordan Scatchell, whatever that guy's name is.
Oh, I love him.
What do you mean?
I'm kidding. Keep going.
Okay, I was like, dude, So he's in this documentary as a Israeli operative caught on
Yes.
undercover video describing the way that he does propaganda for Israel.
Yes.
And what they do is so genius. They make Facebook groups. He runs like a dozen Facebook groups about completely random shit. It's like the cat lovers Facebook, the coffee lovers Facebook.
I've actually seen this, but I didn't see it in the documentary. That's interesting. Okay, keep going.
That's from the lobby. And so he explains like, yeah, we run a page, we just post cat pictures, and about once a month, maybe even less, we just post a really benign thing saying, hey, by the way, we stand with Israel. And then they just put, so it's like I would never think to do that. That would never enter into my mind.
No normal human being would ever consider that. That's
and nobody without incredible resources would consider that. Who's going to spend the time to run and make popular a Facebook group about cats just so you can seed in occasionally
slowly
this thing?
Infiltrate.
But what it does is it puts people in the mindset of, oh, that's a normal thing to think. Okay, it's totally, this isn't an Israeli telling me about Israel. Normal people that love cats also love Israel, and it's normal to express that. Like, it's about just normalizing that kind of kind of sentiment.
What do they call that? It's something association. I forget the term. Something association, normative association. I can't remember. Something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, normalizing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just, I mean, the lobby is full of stuff like that, like absolutely full of it. And about how they launder money, how they put a bunch of money on different cards, they can deliver them all at once, about how they will bring in a politician and say, we are the Jewish community, we represent the entire Jews. Anyway, fascinating stuff. Also, the other most important thing I think you find from the lobby is they say, basically they don't, and this is obvious to everybody who pays attention, but it's interesting that they say it out loud. They basically say, we don't care what you believe if you are with us on this. If you're pro-Israel, and if you are specifically, like in this case, it was either like anti-BDS or anti the Iran deal. They didn't want the Iran deal from Obama. And it was like, they didn't care about what else you believe. You could be anything, left wing, right? It didn't matter as long as you aligned on this, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but you repeat that in every congressional district, and what you end up with is a whole bunch of people with all these different views that all align on this one thing, and they all agree on this, even though they believe all this other stuff.
Completely makes sense. I mean, the Israel lobby is bipartisan. The Israel lobby is completely far-reaching of both sides. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Yeah,
and it also makes sense from the perspective of the candidate who might go, "Hey, I've got 100 things I want to do. Maybe I don't agree with this one thing about it, like, okay, the Iran deal. Maybe I wouldn't normally agree with that, but I'll sacrifice this one thing to get the 99 done. So what's the big deal?" But if everybody's doing that, they're all sacrificing that one thing, and that one thing is adherence to Israel. So anyway, that's a tangent, but the lobby, totally fascinating. Everybody should watch that.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it, and that guy is. Yeah, I just want to see what your reaction would be.
I was like,
no. But I've seen so many different like clips. I didn't realize it was from the lobby though. That's interesting. I'm definitely gonna go check out the full episodes now.
Yeah, that's another one just went viral today. I was seeing it. So yeah, that's a classic. But so 1913. What 1913 explains is, I believe it was the second Aliyah. So the first Aliyah was sponsored by a Rothschild. The second Aliyah, migration to Israel, was out of the Pale of Settlement, the western part of Russia, Eastern Europe, that area. There were big pogroms because the Jewish communities in those areas, there was an assassination of a czar. There was a lot of blame going around on all sides, and there were big pogroms specifically of socialist Jews, who were socialists, who were like calling for democracy and trying to overthrow the government. And so they all got chased out of the country. They all went to Israel, where they were all socialists. They were all communists. So they all sort of put those beliefs into practice, and they developed the kibbutz system. So the kibbutz system is just communism on a small scale in Israel. And
it's communism with a different, it's the same book, a different cover, ultimately.
Yeah. It's where communism works, in like a tiny little community of, the same people with the same religion that can share things equally and be happy doing that. So but what happened was they took sort of the theoretical basis of socialism and communism and sort of learned how to do it in reality. So then when the Tsar fell, those very same people returned to Russia with the knowledge of how to, build a communist system. So
Right.
So that's like the birth of Israel, 1913, this big Aliyah movement to Israel, years before the declaration in 1948, obviously. But it started really with the first Aliyah in the late 1800s with the Rothschilds sponsoring it. So yeah, Israel is a political thing. Really, it is I would put it as like Rothschild, just a Rothschild thing, an organized crime kind of thing, if you want to put it that way, a banking thing. It's basically. But it's also religious and political. And actually, that's kind of an interesting segue into like the Patagonia stuff, because I know a lot of people.
I was going to say we can kind of dive into I think we touched enough on Iran. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just another one of it's freaking regime change. I just do want to say this really quick before we move on from Iran. It sucks because if you actually consider what a lot of those people are feeling, it really sucks because, dude, the truth is they have lived in an absolutely horrific way for a very long time. And like the idea of them finally being it's like any of these other countries where it's like they finally feel like they're being liberated, right? Unfortunately, the useful idiots that are like, oh yeah, this is going to change everything. And then it's not. It's just going to be the same crap. It's another regime change. It's more chaos. It's more.
It's going to be Syria.
It's going to literally be Syria.
It's not. Yeah, we don't even have to go into the past. Like it's literally happening right now, where like Syria was overthrown and they're killing all of the Christians. Like it's going to create another freaking migrant vacuum, and that's what they want. That's ultimately it's going to be a migrant thing. Oh, and then Israel is going out and going, as soon as the regime in Iran falls, we'll do what we did in Syria and bomb the whole place. So it's like, okay, do the Iranian protesters know this?
But at the same time, you have Bibi and the freaking Israeli government that are saying the opposite, that they're like, oh, we care about the freedom of the people and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, come on,
it's such obvious bullshit.
Give me a freaking break, dude. Anyway, all right. So but that's a good segue. We can move on to the Argentina Patagonia issue because it does have so much to do with this, with the state of Israel. And I don't think a lot of people know about Plan Indinia. I don't think most people. The other thing that's really interesting to me, and this makes me feel really, really stupid, but the truth is I didn't pay attention to school growing up at all. Like most of my knowledge came after the fact. It's just reality, just how it is. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I did not realize that the Jewish question was not just a Nazi thing. For the longest time, I thought the Jewish question was just a Nazi trope. That was like the worst of the worst Nazi tropes out there, right? Come to find out in my elder years that no, that was something that was literally going on for how long?
Yeah, hundreds, thousands of years. Yeah,
hundreds and thousands of years. And I don't know if most people know this because I didn't realize it, but dude, the Jews themselves had the Jewish question. Like it wasn't just Europeans. It wasn't just all these other people that were like, what do we do with the Jews? Because their culture is just incompatible with ours. And to be honest, some of the time it was, but a lot of the time it wasn't really a malicious thing because the Jews themselves were saying the same damn thing. They were saying, we know our culture is not compatible with yours. We don't want to be around you. We want our own place. So what are we going to do? And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Jewish question actually came originally from a Jewish journalist. It was a Jewish idea to begin with, where they were like, hey, our cultures are not compatible. We have this problem. What do we do about it? What's the solution? Right. And it's just crazy to me that whole thing, I can't believe that that's like something that I'm figuring out right now. Cause I'm like, holy shit. I mean, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been around as long as the Jews have been around, right? When they got
literally
kicked out of Israel and the temple was destroyed, then they enter into this mode of exile. And the question, the Jewish question amongst Jews, there's a lot of like, no, we're supposed to be exiles. We're supposed to not have our own country. That's until God calls us back. We're not supposed to rule ourselves. We're supposed to be, a landless people. So questions about that, where it's like how far. And I mean, this whole thing gets complicated, and frankly, the more you look into it, like, thing is, with me, it's like, one thing I think you have to understand is that there is this obvious feedback loop of brutality that takes a long time to manifest sometimes, but we're seeing the sort of the third turning right now, where it's like the Nazis are brutal to the Jews, so the Jews sort of take that lesson, and you see how Israel acts now, completely brutal and horrific. So now you've got the anti-Israel people sort of adopting that mindset and going, oh, okay, brutal and horrific is the way that we do this. All right. And it's just sort of
an eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye, or it's oh, well, Israel gets away with lying all the time, so, we'll lie about them. It's like adopting their strategy, thinking, oh, we can be even, you think you're the worst, we can be even worse than you. And so it's literally just an endless feedback loop.
It's everyone. This is the feedback loop when it comes to brutality in general, right? It starts somewhere, and then it's instigated this way, and then it's reciprocated this way. And it's just, 100%.
It happens time and time again. So that's a trap that you shouldn't fall into. And a lot of people on our side, supposedly, whatever, people that we interact with on X and whatever, are sort of falling for it, right? It's cliche, but it's true. Like, hate begets hate, death begets death. Like, you are literally falling for the trap when you do that. And you have to realize that, like, love is the way out of it. And, like, once you love your enemy, like, you can't love your enemy without understanding your enemy, and you can't defeat your enemy without understanding your enemy. So, but once you understand your enemy fully, you don't want to defeat them in a weird way. That was the lesson of Ender's Game. Have you ever read that?
I did not catch that, but yes, now that you say that, yes.
Yeah. So especially when it comes to the Jews, you have to understand, like, a lot of the reason that they do what they do is grounded in reality and self-preservation and like logic. It's not a lot of the people that were Zionists early on were Zionists because God, it goes back forever. But do you know the Rothschilds made a movie about themselves?
That
everybody thinks is Nazi propaganda. But actually it was because the Rothschilds were trying to, like, explain why they loved money, right? There's like a scene where they're like, grab the silver, get the silver. And it's like a total, like, cartoonish, over the top portrayal. But the point of that scene and the point of that part of the movie is, when you're a stateless people, in days when states mattered and where, nationalism was real, you really didn't have protection from the law. People could abuse you. People could steal your shit, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Money gave them that protection.
Money was money was a guarantee of protection, no matter where you went, no matter who you had to interact with. If you had money, that was at least some level of self-preservation that you had to deal with. So, Theodor Herzl, especially, I mean, this goes way back. Napoleon held a Sanhedrin. Napoleon brought together 70 rabbis to discuss whether or not the Jews would be incorporated as full French citizens, or whether they would be considered something else. And they decided to go full French citizens. Elsewhere, you had a lot of the Ashkenazis in the Pale of Settlement. Like, there were events where I think it was Alexander II, the Tsar of Russia, was killed by a Jewish extremist, despite the fact that he was trying to sort of bring the Jews into the wider culture, because that is actually robbing control from the Jewish elite, who have a separate entity that they control. But they're they don't want their people being able to go to the national people for justice. And the same stuff happens here, right? You have Hasidic neighborhoods in New York where they have their own sort of court system that they run. They don't they don't want you going to the wider police. You'll be exiled from their community. So with Theodor Herzl, it was very much, I think, a political thing, where he was like, we need a state of our own, because none of these other states want to protect us. And this is the age of nationalism, right? It was the age of sort of the rising consciousness of those types of things. And so one of the interesting things about Herzl was that he apparently was basically fine with Israel being anywhere. He was like, Madagascar sounds great. Patagonia, amazing. Let's do that. And it wasn't until they had this first big Zionist Congress, and it was all of the super uber religious Jews from the east of Europe, right? Herzl was Western European Jew, more secular, more ingrained in the European culture. The Eastern Jews were hardcore religious and were like, no, it has to be in the Middle East because we're fulfilling prophecy. We can't do this in Madagascar. It doesn't count. And their overwhelming pressure.
And it also just so happened to work out perfectly for the interests of, Britain and France and all these other countries that were like, oh yeah, throw them in there. Like put them there. That's the perfect place. And yeah, it was a very mutual agreement. I mean, that's ultimately why it worked.
It was, but you also have to remember that Nathan Rothschild bought up the entire British economy in the early 1800s, right? The Battle of Waterloo. So these things happen in like 100-year cycle, right? Now, I don't think this is a coincidence that you have, the French Revolution. Basically, in about 200 years' time, you go from all of Europe being under nobility to none of Europe being under nobility, and the nobility that still exists being a fringe remnant that's occasionally invoked, to do specific political stuff. But you have the French Revolution oust the French king, then you have Rothschild takes over the UK economy. So that sort of becomes the seat of the Rothschild power projection as the British Empire from that point on. And within the next 100 years, you have basically everybody except for the UK nobility being dethroned and defenestrated and everything else. So, and then of course the center of power moved to America, and the British Empire was allowed to collapse and fail. So, these things. We talked.
Just everybody pay attention, because he said something interesting there, and it's important that you understand. He said allowed to collapse.
Yeah. Right, on purpose. And so when you talk about shared interest, it's kind of like, well, by the time they were talking about partitioning off the Middle East and doing the Sykes-Picot Agreement, UK had been firmly in the hands of the banking families for a while. So, and the other thing, the really important thing to understand about the Nathaniel Rothschild event with Waterloo, and if people don't know, it's very simple. Nathaniel Rothschild had the best intelligence network in Europe, and so he found out that the Battle of Waterloo was won by Britain before anybody else. He goes to the stock market in the morning and starts selling everything he has as quickly as possible. Everybody sees this and goes, oh shit, he knows that we just lost the Battle of Waterloo. We better sell also. Meanwhile, he secretly has everybody buying up, his own agents buying up everything at rock bottom prices. And that way he captures the entire economy. Then the news comes in, we won Waterloo. Stock market prices explode, go through the roof, and Nathaniel Rothschild is holding them all and gains massively by it. So the important thing to understand about that is that they had a better intelligence network than the nations. The banks had a better intelligence network than the nations. So that means if you're a national government, you're going to rely on the banks for your information, and you're going to believe what the banks tell you. So that's the control system right there. And that's the birth of intelligence agencies, right? Intelligence agencies didn't come from the state. I mean, there were versions of intelligence agencies as far back as ancient Rome, and the French Revolution, like Napoleon had a very sophisticated spy network. But the banks have always been the kingpins of intelligence, and they've always known it all. And it makes perfect sense. You have, these 5 suns in 5 capital cities. You naturally develop an extremely efficient, quick, and accurate intelligence network. You have to for your banking business. So it's,
each of the wars and all the, I mean, if you really dig into this, and I think most people that are listening to this, hopefully you guys know this, but like at the end of the day, the banks are the ones that control those wars. The banks are, the wars were determined by the banks, in my opinion. I think there's plenty of evidence out there. Everything you're talking about is, you're talking a lot about, if you guys have seen Europa, which there's a lot in that. It's a long documentary. And I personally think that there's a lot of truth. I also think you have to kind of sift through it to find the truth, if that makes sense.
It's the bizarro version of every History Channel documentary. You're gonna get nothing but the bad stuff about the Nazis on the History Channel, and then you're gonna get nothing but the good stuff about the Nazis on Europa.
Exactly.
They're both true.
Yes, the truth is in the middle. That's ultimately what I think with this. But ultimately, the first 3 or 4 episodes talk all about the banking system. They talk all about the Rothschilds, all about how they ultimately controlled geopolitics. and have since the beginning of time. And now they continue to control geopolitics. So that's why it's not hard for me to believe that the Zionist agenda is ultimately controlling all of what's going on right now, because it all goes back to the money. Right?
Yeah. Well, and again, it's exactly the same thing, right? We were just talking about the Rothschild movie. You need money to protect yourself. Well, what if you had your own government? What if you had your own government with your own intelligence service, so you could arrest people, you could have a place to go where you won't be extradited? I mean, that's the final answer, right? Is what do we do to be in charge of everybody? We need our own state. So, and like I said, the Rothschilds were the first to fund Jewish settlement in Israel from Europe in the late 1800s, before the Zionist movement was even a thing.
Lord Rothschild.
Well, yeah, but that was later on, though. I mean, and yes, but that was a part of it. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, the Rothschilds
after Sykes-Picot, correct?
Yes. So yeah, I think so.
A few years after Sykes-Picot.
I mean, it was in 1913, right? Because it was or 14 or 15, because it was in the middle of the First World War.
Yes.
Yeah, and dude, the Rothschilds it's like everywhere. I was talking about today how every single war that America's ever been in since the Civil War was predicated on a false flag. And you can start the most recent, but weapons of mass destruction, and then you've got the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam. World War II was Pearl Harbor. Everybody knows that was a setup. The Lusitania in World War I was carrying ammunition, a valid war target, but they lied and said it wasn't. But do you know what war we were involved in before that? Was the Spanish War. And you may remember that the Spanish War was remember the Maine.
The Maine. Remember, what is it? Remember or not remember? What is it? Just remember the Maine? I think it's just remember the Maine.
Yeah,
remember the Maine. And that's because that was also, remember, this is going way off topic. This is a total ADHD freaking tangent. But remember the Maine was one of the things that influenced the Northwoods, Operation Northwoods.
Yes. Yeah.
Because when they thought about blowing up the ship full of Navy sailors, that was all about remember the Maine. They were like, that worked then, we can work again.
Yep. And it's pretty much established history now. Like the story of the Maine was fake. Like it was either 100%. Blown up on purpose from the inside, or it was like a boiler exploding, but it was not Spanish anarchists blowing it up. But no. Do you know who is the American reporter that reported that the Spanish Maine was blown up by Spanish anarchists?
I can only imagine.
His last name was Rothschild.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's like
this type of stuff where it's like,
no, it was literally Rothschild.
It's a Rothschild. Yeah,
that it literally was a Rothschild.
Sense.
Yeah,
complete sense.
So I mean, it's this type of stuff where it's like, oh, okay, so it's literally this banking family with monopolistic control of the money systems over all of Europe. They've had it for 100 years. I mean, they own like every castle in Europe.
Well,
they own everything.
And then it goes perfectly into everything we're about to talk about with Argentina, because anyone that steps out of line, anybody that tries to pull away from this system, from this central banking system, ultimately, if you go back and look in history, this isn't a conspiracy theory, and it's insane to me when people say it is, because all the dots line up. Look at all the different countries that were trying to pull away from the central banking system, and what happens immediately? All of a sudden, they just kind of collapse, right? And all of a sudden, the person that's in charge of that country is the worst person on the planet. And yeah, they're all bad people. Don't get me wrong. They're all really, really bad people. I've always said this. I've always said there's no good and bad, right? That's also what I believe is, whether you want to call it an elite lie or a Zionist lie or whatever, but the idea that there's good guys and bad guys, and the propaganda that has been, through cartoons and Marvel and all this other stuff since we were very small, multiple generations, to make us believe that there's good guys and bad guys. There's bad guys and there's worse guys. I mean, that's my opinion. When it comes to these issues, it's like the good people or the good guys are the civilians caught in the crossfire and caught in these conflicts. But like, when you really look back and when you look at all these situations, it's just very, very similar every time. Immediately, the guy, the leader, whoever it is marked as evil, tyrannical, whatever. Nowadays, it's drug lords, whatever it may be, right? And then coincidentally, the country just kind of falls apart and becomes very much less than it was before. And I think there's 4 countries left there in the central banking system. One of them was Venezuela, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Has it been forced to join? I guess that'll probably be the next step.
Well,
yeah, I mean, Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much right. It gets a little bit complicated with China because China is kind of a wild card. And they're like everything to everyone. It's like they're communists, but they're also the most capitalist out of anybody. They are apparently super anti-Semitic, but also are like best friends with Israel. It's
almost like China is a necessary evil for everyone, where it's like they've just done such a good job of playing the long game that they are just like light years ahead of us with everything as far as like just the game in general, right? And it's like, we know you need us, we know they need us. No matter what we do, you're always going to need us for this or that. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, because they are kind of just a middle ground.
It's all about control, right? It's always about control. Whether you are dictated as a good or a bad guy, it's whether or not you're able to be controlled, and that goes down to religious factions, and countries like China. They love China because China has perfected control. They have the social credit system. They have this massive technocracy that can last forever, because the moment somebody has a revolutionary idea, they are identified, they are ostracized by their own family and friends, out of risk of not having your social credit score lowered. Like, there's no rebellion happening anytime soon in China. They've perfected and really solidified that system. Muslims, very easy to control because of the function of their religion, because in the same way that the Catholics see the Pope as being infallible, Muslims see their imam as being infallible. And that means that every single mosque has somebody standing at the head of it whose words are treated as if they're dictates from God. It's extremely easy to control people like that. If you've ever seen the documentary about Tahrir Square in Egypt, it starts off with these two characters. One is a Sunni, one is a Shiite, protesting against the Egyptian government, and they're both equally motivated, equally passionate about it. And then one day, the Sunni guy just stopped showing up, and like eventually they get back in contact with him or something, and basically he's just like, yeah, the imam said we're not in favor of revolution anymore, so I'm not in favor of revolution anymore. And it's just like, you can just change, these guys who are like, he's like, I'm ready to die for this. The next day,
your entire ideology and position just on a dime. Yeah.
Because in places like that, you might actually be killed if you're becoming an apostate. Fair. But at the very least, you won't be allowed back in the mosque, and you won't be allowed to see your friends or family ever again. That's
social suicide or actual suicide. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, and frankly, I would say the Jews are easy to control. The Jews are easy to control because you can tell them that the Holocaust is about to happen. The psychological programming against the Jews, like the trauma-based mind control that's like passed on to Jews when they're 3-year-olds. It's brutal.
Yeah.
By the Holocaust, propaganda network. Like, when you're telling, look, and like this, again, this is something where like, yeah, I really sympathize with the Jews who at like 4 years old, there's an interview with an actress. I'm blanking on her name right now. But she's talking about, when I was 4 years old, I would sleep outside of my parents' bedroom door because I was convinced that they would be taken away. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what
crazy way to, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when you have somebody who like grew up in this mindset of like total fear, that makes them very easy. That fear is easy to reignite at any moment you want, and they will fall in line. So, again, say anti-Semitism, all of this stuff, it's used both ways. It's used to control Gentiles, saying, shut up, you're not allowed to say that. And it's used to control Jews, going, you see, the Gentiles want to kill all of us. You can't leave us. You have to support us. It's really brutal.
In that way, it's used as a fear mechanism for sure. It's used against their own people as a fear mechanism, and that makes complete sense.
So at the end of the day, it's all about control. So they love China because China got control down. They hate white people because white people don't like being controlled, white and have the sort of intelligence and organizational capability to actually like organize and put up a fight. And it's not that like we are a real threat. It's just a potential threat. We have the potential to do that. So it has to be, destroyed.
Right.
Or controlled.
Right. That makes sense. Well, so let's segue into this now. So basically the Zionist agenda, right? The whole idea of having a state of Israel, another piece of that I think a lot of people are probably not aware of is the whole idea of Plan Andinia, which was to create another state of Israel in Argentina. And that's been a thing that they've talked about. I believe, I want to say the 1970s, I want to say, is when it first started getting talked about. And I didn't know this because, you know, this whole thing that's happened recently with the fires that are going on there. But for those of you guys that aren't aware of this, there are massive fires happening right now in Argentina that they're not even trying to deny that they're purposeful. Like it's 100% arson, and they've literally said like these fires are being set by arsonists. And lo and behold, there's multiple videos out there where people like locals to Argentina, they're finding Israeli settlers that are lighting these fires in Patagonia. And apparently this is something that's been going on since like 2011. There's multiple reports that talk about Israeli settlers that are setting these fires. And I don't know if you saw this as well, but apparently it's also like a standard thing for IDF soldiers when they get out of the service to be sent to Argentina as like a middle time or something to map out the area. Like legitimately
to practice mapping. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when people find them out there with their like tools, they try to hide them because they don't want people to know what's going on. Right. It's just crazy, dude. It's crazy that this is all of a sudden a thing. And then when you consider everything that happened with Melee, right?
Malay. Yeah. Apparently he is, apparently he signed some law.
Cousin.
What's that?
Apparently he's Netanyahu's cousin or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. There's stuff out there that says his last name is like Mikowitz or something like that.
That's hilarious if that was true. I think his wife is Jewish. I don't think maybe he's crypto Jew, but I don't know. Yeah. Well, apparently he changed the law to where you could buy public land that had been burned in a fire. So that's really suspicious. Yeah. But I'd heard other people saying, no, that's not true. Like that hadn't gone through yet, so I don't really know about that. But I mean, it's perfectly in line with everything else we've seen from Lahaina to Pacific Palisades. I mean, these are places that are pre-slated to be 15-minute cities of the future type things that then get burned and are able to be purchased at rock bottom prices. Yeah. And I was surprised at how long this has been going on. There's that video. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I think it was a Chilean general in 2003 talking about this event happening, and that was why I brought up the thing about like the Zionist locations, because people are pointing, they're going, oh, the Zionists actually considered Patagonia originally, and that's true. And that was when Theodore Herzl was like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter where, we just need a state. That was before the religious Jews got influence and said, no, we have to do it this way so we can have a third temple. So, yeah, I mean, especially if you've been paying attention to this for a while, like ultimately the goal is to privatize basically air and water, right? And fresh drinking water being privatized has been a concern for like 30 years. And a lot of work has been done about this. It's sort of fallen out of like vogue in the last couple of years. But, 10 years ago, it was like, people were mapping out like, oh, look, George H.W. Bush has all of this land on all of these like freshwater aquifers. And, we've seen in the World Economic Forum, and they're like, vaccines and viruses are a little bit like vague. People understand water. They understand when they're thirsty. It's like total, again, all about control. It's all about control. So wanting to seize a giant source of fresh water is absolutely some that might be done, as well as buying up all the land for super cheap after you burn it down. It's a pretty wild story.
Well, and also, I don't know if you were aware of this, but I pulled up the video. By the way, what's your time looking like? We didn't even talk about this. I didn't even ask you how long you could go. I usually go until like 10, but we can cut whenever you're ready, bro. Just let me know.
We can do another 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. 10:30.
Yeah, we can do another 10 minutes. Let's do another 10 minutes.
Yeah, this has been great.
So, I'm going to pull this up really quick. So I don't know if you knew this, but in 2024, is it Malay? How do you say his name again?
Malay, yeah.
Malay. He said he was going to move the embassy to Jerusalem. Did you see that? Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
I don't necessarily need to pull that up, but what I can pull up is if we want to pull this
Well, I'm
up.
delighted to welcome you, President Milei, and your delegation to Israel. You're a great friend of the Jewish state. We are delighted with your decision to recognize Jerusalem
Is he crying?
as Israel's capital, to move your diplomatic post there, and also, of course, an embassy.
Es por eso que hoy quiero compartirles una primicia.
Oh shoot, I don't know why it's doing that.
Estamos avanzando en un memorándum histórico con el gobierno israelí, una alianza bilateral entre dos naciones hermanas.
I'll just remove that. Anyway, that I don't know if he was crying, but it's crazy because when you watch that video, dude, it's just like, how does this guy have so much control over all of these leaders? How does he? Because you can tell. I mean, he's the one that's in charge right there. He's 100%. He's the one that's holding the stick, right? And it's everything we've talked about, right? And I remember seeing Milei when the whole election thing was going down. I remember seeing that video of him like pulling the things off the whiteboard, like afuera, afuera, of all the programs he was going to get rid of and all the Doge that he was going to do for Argentina. And everybody was like, hell yeah, dude, he's the Trump of Argentina. And everybody was so ready for it. Little did you know that he's a friggin' Zionist, like one of the biggest Zionists. And now he's
he freaking loves Israel. He freaking loves Israel, man. It's kind of embarrassing.
Dude, and so I don't need to pull these up because they're like a minute long each, but I mean, if you guys just go look at some of these interviews, go watch some of the interviews of these people that are in Argentina. There's one of a worker, there's one of this lady sitting in her car. All of them know what's going on. I mean, they all know that this is a land grab. They all know that, the fires are being set intentionally, and they all know that it's because of this new, I mean, you're saying that it hasn't passed, but I heard that it's.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that it was, but
yeah, I'd heard that too. I just saw somebody on X from Argentina being like, "Oh, this is just information." I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I also, it's like you got to wonder, since Argentina has this reputation as being a place where the Nazis fled.
I was just going to say that too.
Yeah, if it is some punishment for that, it's like you see the. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the video of the guy going, Malmo is my revenge on Sweden, and it's like, okay, fuck you, goddamn, what an asshole.
And that's not a conspiracy either. I believe it was in the recent JFK files that they 100% proved that Hitler freaking went to Argentina, that sucker was actually living in Argentina. Am I right on this one? I'm pretty sure it was.
That's always a claim. I don't know about the newest thing, but there's always been kind of the same thing with the Epstein files, where it'll be like a report from a source that says, yes, definitely Hitler is here, but then they like investigate it.
Can you imagine Hitler just like chilling in Argentina watching everything that happened afterwards? Like,
I literally cannot.
All of the Nazis being drafted into America to be NASA and like everything that came after that, and him just chilling. Just chilling.
No way. I don't believe it.
Like, what?
I don't believe it. I just don't think he would do that. I genuinely, from everything I know about Hitler, it is perfectly in line with his character that having failed, he killed himself. Like that. I don't think he was like, I tried, I'm going to go live a nice life on the beach. Like, I don't think he was that type of guy, to be honest with you.
Go chill in Patagonia, dude. Like, what?
Just walking over mountains like, oh, well, I tried. No. That dude was in it till the end.
Oh, well, we lost. Now in Argentina. Oh, man.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay, all right. So here's one last thing you may not know about Argentina, because I don't feel like a lot of people knew about it, but this happened also in 2024, which I thought was really interesting. Watch this, and we'll end on this.
The alliance between Israel and Argentina could accelerate the electric revolution. Israeli company Extralead is partnering with energy firm YPF to launch several direct lithium extraction projects in northern Argentina, one of the world's largest deposits. Their technology, called DLE, allows lithium to be extracted directly from brine without drying out salt lakes or harming ecosystems, a faster, cleaner, and more efficient process than traditional methods. As demand soars with the battery race, this cooperation places Israel at the heart of the global energy transition. A South American partnership, Israeli innovation, and perhaps soon, greener batteries in our cars.
Yeah, it's all about resource. I mean, Venezuela, is largely about resources. I think Greenland's largely about resources. Yeah.
Tracks.
Whoever masters AI in the future is going to be the master of the future. So,
Yep. That's my thing. When I look at this whole like all the different things happening with these countries, it's like, we talked about, okay, well, why did we go into Venezuela but not Mexico if it was actually about drugs? Because, dude, Venezuela is not even in the top 20 countries responsible for drugs coming in the United States. And fentanyl is like 0.01% or something like that. But Mexico is literally number 2. So it's like, well, why didn't we invade Mexico? Why didn't we do that? Well, you go and look at the leader of Mexico, and sure enough, her name is
Scheinbaum.
Claudia Scheinbaum.
Her name is Claudia
like,
Scheinbaum. Yeah.
What?
That's
like,
fine.
It's
There's
just
a Jewish president of Argentina, Jewish president of Mexico. This is totally normal.
Right. Well, anyway, it kind of tracks, when you look at it from a 1,000-foot perspective. It's just like, yeah, all right, well, that makes sense. And it all
it's about
money.
Well, yeah, and with Venezuela, it was about they ran cocaine to Europe, and it was Hezbollah that was doing it. I mean, they had they had an Iranian drone construction base in Venezuela. There's the Isle of Margarita, which is basically a Hezbollah satellite base outside of it's literally, and there are all these articles that are like, yeah, Hezbollah rebuilt Lebanon with drug money after 2006. So that's what they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop what happened in 2006, which was Hezbollah rearmed with a bunch of money that was a large part of it came out of Venezuela. But they have drug networks all over Northern Europe. But yeah, that's what it was about. I think it's pretty obvious that that's what it was about, not really anything else.
Yeah, pretty freaking obvious. Well, dude, I just want to say thanks for coming on tonight, man. It was super fun.
Dude. This
It was a great conversation. I think everybody really enjoyed it. Last words of wisdom. Let's talk about America for a minute, dude. What do we do to make? How do we? What do we do? How do we talk about America more? I'm just ready to focus on America.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. It's going to be a crazy year. 2026 is going to be nuts. I think. I don't know, man. I think that I don't think that the George Floyd 2.0 is working out the way that they were hoping that it would, but I also think that another event is going to happen soon, and that's what will really kick it off. It's basically all in Trump's hands at this point, and it's entirely up to him. It's like that video went viral from Andy Frisella. He just put it perfectly. I can't help but quote him like every day, which is just Trump is the guy. Trump is the guy that will be seen in history as the guy that could have saved America and chose not to. That's what's happening right now. He's choosing not to. He's choosing not to do all of the various things that he could be doing, and it sucks. But I really am like exhausted of just being like, we should enforce the law. We should arrest these people. Why the fuck has nobody been arrested? Where are the mass deportations? Like, it's just exhausting at this point. So, it's in Trump's court, and it's crazy because it's like the Republicans, Trump, like, do they not realize that if they lose and the Democrats get in power, like, they're literally going to spend the rest of their lives in jail? Like, this is the crazy part. It's not even like we're begging them, like, please do it for us. It's like, no, you fucking idiots. They're going to skin your children alive if you don't defeat them. So
literally,
you can choose not to. It's your ass that's going to be in jail. So, like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to watch. That is the piece that I look at, and I'm just like, what in the world would make you not do everything humanly possible to not put yourself in that situation? And it's just like, it's almost like they're so drunk with the power and the influence or whatever it is that they now have, that it's like they're blind. You know what I mean? They're just completely blinded to it. But I don't know, man. Well, I guess, I think what it comes down to, and I've said this many, many times, I think ultimately where we're at is it's America First Patriots versus loyalists. I mean, that's the only way that I can see it. That's if you want to talk about the divide or whatever, right? Like ultimately that's what we're down to. We're down to the people that are going to give a pass to everybody and anybody because they're loyal to them, either because they're funded, either because they're employees or they're just mindless, useful idiots. And then you have the people that are like, no, like America, like what about us, right? What about my grocery prices? What about my gas prices? What about my family? What about the veterans? What about the myriad of problems that we have in this country that we should be solving instead of solving everybody else's problems? Ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to. And, you know, I'm blessed and grateful to stand by a lot of people that I think stand in that same place. And when they freaking bring us to the gulags, it's going to be a damn good time.
Yeah, no, it's never going to get to that point. Yeah, no, but I agree. And I just think right now for us, like our side of things, whatever side this is, that you and I are definitely like on the same team here. We have to like, I see a lot of, there's an irony happening right now. And let me just tell you folks, listen to your wise old friend Harrison. I've been in this game a very long time. I've been red-pilled about Israel since I was 11, so I know a lot of people are waking up to this and have very strong emotions about it. I just want to say, if you are dividing the right based on, you know, whether you suspect people of, you know, secretly being an Israeli spy, if you look at what the Israelis are doing right now, if you look at what Benjamin Netanyahu and all of his buddies in the mainstream media are doing at this moment, they're trying everything they possibly can to divide the right wing, to convince everybody that you're either with Candace Owens or against her. You're either, you know, you're with the third worldist or you're with the Jews. It's like the number one thing to do is what your enemies don't want you to do. And what our enemies, what the enemies of America really want right now is for the people that are pro-America, pro-sovereignty, pro-Christianity, pro all of these things to be divided by what we're against. So I just, you know, it's a sophisticated hodgepodge of operations being run out there. And at the end of the day, you really can't go wrong with just like loving Jesus and loving everyone and going after the bad guys that you know are bad and the bad systems that you know are bad and trying to leave the division to the side. So I hope we can do that more. I think 2026 needs to be the year that we stop letting our enemies divide and conquer us personally.
Yeah, well said. Unite the good so that we can actually see the real enemy, the real evil, because the enemy and the evil is not us. It's very much not us, but they want us to believe it is. Well said, dude. Amen. Well, again, Harrison, thanks, brother. Thanks for coming on. We'll have to do this again sometime. It was fun.
God bless you. Thank you so much. This has been great.
All right, man. Have a great night. We'll see you later.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks for joining me with this. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a really cool conversation. Harrison's awesome, guys. If you guys are not following him, make sure you do. I think probably most people do, but if you're not, definitely go follow him. He's an awesome person. He's got a great outlook on everything, and he's very, very well researched, which is what I really enjoy when we have our conversations. And it's very rare that you talk to somebody who actually understands what's going on, but is able to actually back it with, you know, historical evidence or things like that. There's a lot of people out there that just kind of talk about things, but they don't really understand it. And I really, really like the way that Harrison presents information, you know. And obviously, he's not going to get everything right. And obviously, I'm not going to agree with everything he says. It's the same way with me. I'm sure I definitely don't get everything right. And I'm sure he doesn't agree with everything I say. But like, he's one of those people where I feel like every single time I've had a conversation with him, it's gone really, really well. It's really smooth conversation. And I just really, really enjoy his perspective. So make sure you guys go follow him and support him any way you can. And then again, just thank you for being here. And I'll open it up to any questions you guys have. If you guys are willing to do some super chats, I'll throw them in right now. If not, I'm going to go home and get some food and hang out with my wife. So let me know if you guys have any questions. And yeah, we'll go from there. And if not, like I said, I'll bounce because it's late. It's really late for you guys that are on like the East Coast and stuff. So Any questions? Any at all? I'll give it like 30 seconds because I'm not going to wait anymore. 30 seconds and I'm going to bounce. Eric just got off work. What's up? You'll be able to watch the recording for sure. It was a really, really good conversation. If you guys are just jumping on here for any reason, like it was an awesome, we covered a lot of stuff. We didn't cover even like a lot of the stuff that I had planned, which those are honestly the best conversations. The best conversations that I have are the ones where you have a lot of things planned, but it just goes in a completely different direction and you end up talking about a lot of different things. And, you know, because that is the sign. It's also why I run my podcast the way I do. If you guys haven't listened to any of the episodes of my podcast, it's literally, we don't plan anything. I have my guests come, I know a little bit about them, but ultimately we sit down in the chair and we just start talking. And it goes anywhere that we want it to go and just wherever it needs to go. And it's awesome. That's just the beauty of having those kind of conversations. So, Lane, thanks, bro. Get some food, big dog. Definitely going to go do that. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Do you have any questions, Lane? If you have a question, drop it and I'd be happy to answer it since you threw a super chat in there. And I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Great live. I like him more after tonight. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of us are the kind of people that are really like quote unquote defined by clips. You know, there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that hate me and hate my perspective, but ultimately I think if they would actually listen to my long form content, they'd see that we're not very different. And the way that I think and the things that I believe and the way that I ultimately operate, like, I think it's far different than people's perspective based on like short form content and any clips that they've seen or whatever. I mean, ultimately, all of us, we really want, I truly believe that most of us want the same thing, which is we just want America to be the best it possibly can be. We want our kids to grow up in a world where they don't have to, you know, fear not having enough to make it by, or fear, you know, having to go to war or any, like, we just want our kids to be able to grow up in a world where they're able to build and create and thrive and just enjoy life. Right. I think that's everybody's dream for their kids, for everyone. Most people really do just want that, you know? So yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's a great point too. You definitely don't hate people because you don't have the same views. I mean, seriously, like, we have to get away from that. Imagine if everybody thought and felt the same way. Just imagine if everybody had the exact same beliefs and the exact same views. It would be such a boring world. It would be insane. There's difference and there's variety and there's difference of opinion for a reason, right? And, you know, you don't have to hate somebody just because they believe differently than you. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but unite. Let's unite the good, right? There's a reason why they say united we stand, divided we fall. There's a reason for it, guys. So yeah, I'm glad you were able to see that side of Harrison. I'm glad you were able to change your opinion about him a little bit. I would assume that it's because a lot of the idea of him being defined by clips and things like that, right? You've probably only seen like clips and things like that. So create, learn, grow, share. Yeah. Amen. Anything else, guys? Any other comments? Any other questions? You like my Minecraft Band-Aid? I made a video on my Instagram today that said, tell me you're a dad without telling me you're a dad. You got to wear Minecraft Band-Aids. All right, guys. Wish Tatum would long form. Yeah, right. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen because he would be destroyed. I'd wipe the freaking floor with that guy and he knows it. Nobody. So everybody knows. Literally no one who I've challenged to a debate has stepped up to the plate. Not one time. As a matter of fact, Cam Higby's the only one that said, yeah, I'll do it. But then he never did it. He said, oh, we'll find a date. And then I gave him the times and he said, okay, cool. Let me check my calendar. And then that was the end of it. So Maybe what I need to do is like make some videos where I say really stupid things or I look really dumb. Like maybe I just need, I mean, I did just put that video out and accidentally put the wrong map on there, but maybe I need to make it really, really like blatant and just get like all my facts wrong and just make an absolutely atrocious line of videos and then challenge somebody. And maybe they'll go in and be like, oh, this guy's an idiot. I'll for sure debate him. He's a shoo-in. And then they get on and I actually just destroy him. Maybe that's what I need to do. Crap, I just gave my plan. I just monologued. F me, dude. Oh, man. Can we get an all Ian live Carol plus Smith? That might be coming. Stay tuned. Definitely working on that. And it's going to be epic when we make it happen. You need your music playlist. I have a lot of music I listen to. Every time somebody asks me for a playlist, I have like a couple playlists, but to get my true playlist, I don't really have, like, I listen to a lot of music. I don't think people realize. There's very rare times during the day that music is not playing. So I have a playlist that's in my VIP channel on my Instagram that you can go check out if you want. And it's not it's a VIP channel, but it's free. You just have to add yourself to it. Again, I rarely put stuff behind a paywall, guys. Like, I really don't do that. So when I tell you that, you know, you can support me with subscriptions on X, or you can support me with the super chats, or make sure you follow, obviously, and subscribe to my YouTube. But those are the ways you can support me, or support my business, Official Patriot Gear. That's how you can support me. I'm never going to ask you guys, you know, for just straight up money. Anytime I do ask for money, I give it away. But those of you that have contributed, I appreciate you guys and supported. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? If not, I'm going to give it a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. See you later, guys. Have a good night. Catch you next time.